Now the light of glory arises like the sun that shines on high. Now awaken into freedom, oh revive your spirits, oh revive. Wake the mountains and the valleys, bring alive the springs of the earth. Light the world forever with the light of your rebirth. Light the world forever with the light of your rebirth. We are called to bring back the glory to the life of God above. Now the Lord, in His greatness, fills the universe with tender love. Ever seeking souls awaken, ever calling them to be free. How shall I attend Him who is calling to me? How shall I attend Him who is calling to me? From the dark of death I awaken and rejoice to live in grace. When the one who came to save me holds me tenderly in His embrace, I rejoice to feel the comfort of the love He has for me.
What a
Blessing of glory to rejoice eternally. What a blessing of glory to rejoice eternally. Now He lifts me up to embrace me in the blessing that is mine. What a blessing to receive Him in a love so tender and divine. How can I return the blessing, though in all my life I will try? I can never stop feeling how unworthy am I. I can never stop feeling how unworthy am I.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for your guidance and blessings. We're grateful to be here in the sanctuary to give you praise and worship and to learn more of your words, Heavenly Father, many of which we're still learning. We also pray for the safe return of our King, Kukshnim, and their families, the people of the Academy, and the people who came to support. We're grateful for giving the opportunity to connect with the patriotic and righteous communities of America, many of whom are veterans who are more than willing to give their lives for our freedom and our rights. I thank you for your guidance and blessing again, and I pray that today will be a good day for our day of worship and learning. In the name of Sung Clark and Ian Kwon and the Central Bus family, Amen and Aju.
Somebody put the lectern up here, but my wife said, even the king doesn't speak from the stage. What are you going to speak from the stage for? So, yes, thank you. Now let's go to the announcements. April 28th, 2019. And welcome to everyone who's here for the first time, or our brothers and sisters who are joining us online. Oh, we're not supposed to go to that slide yet. Oh, back. Yeah, go to the King's Facebook, I think, a Facebook page. Let's see what they. The Facebook page, and let's see who the King is. He has a bunch of things that are happening there. Yes, let's watch this video here with the volume.
Move, let's see the waterfall. There's literally a waterfall. It is unbelievable rain out here. And we are in here just getting beaten by the rain. Thank goodness for the Jeep. But my Lord have mercy, look at this. Just pouring rain. All right, folks. Here is our...
Okay. We didn't hear that last part. But anyway, let's go to his further up in his Facebook page where he has all the photographs of the people that he's been meeting at the NRA convention there. He had a very successful book signing yesterday. I noticed his. He said that all 3 boxes of books basically flew out, I think he said. And here also CheonSeongGyeong is meeting some of her followers, I guess, or people that she is following. They're on Instagram. And I'm sure he will explain to us who these people are when he gets back. So very, very fruitful and successful visit to the NRA convention. Yeah, something happened at the NRA convention. Did you read about that? Oliver North got kicked out. Basically, he resigned his position, he resigned his position because the board said that they were not going to recommend him for another year, to be voted in for another year. And so him and Wayne LaPierre were having a power struggle, and he lost. We'll see. Very interested to see what he's going to do next, because I'm sure that he will not stay quiet. All right, let's go to that. Now let's go to that Kingdom Academy photograph. I'm sure. I don't know if anybody's in that tent or not. But I'm sure that many good memories are being made there. Yeah, I'm sure they'll tell us about it when they get back. All I have is that photograph. I have no explanation, except that this is someone sent this to us as the Kingdom Academy tent there when they were camping out their headquarters. Yes. Tells us 1,000 words, I guess. Yes. Okay. Now let's go to the next. Okay. Oh my goodness, that is far too. Okay. Okay. I can read it over here. The Bible study this week, Revelation chapter 18 and 19. Babylon falls in the rule of him who is faithful and true, King of kings and Lord of lords. I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. Again, we are warned not to get along, compromising our values by sharing in the corruptive influence of wealth and advantages, which will earn us a share in the coming judgment. All right, so that's on Wednesday, 7 p.m. All right? Okay. Let's see. PA for Life is having a town hall meeting May 2nd, which I think is Thursday. Is that right? Thursday? This coming Thursday. At a restaurant near Hazleton there called the Lookout House Restaurant. And you have the address there. And it's sponsored by the PA for Life, Pennsylvania for Life, Hazleton chapter. And, Lourdes had her name on this with Sunmi Montenegro. I know she likes to do lots of things, but we love her. We want her. And who is Sunmi here? No, okay, neither of them are here. All right. She may be upset with me for taking her name off of that, but I did it because I love her. All right? I hope she understands that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Vetstock, spring kickoff BBQ, barbecue on this coming Saturday. Saturday this week at Carbondale. You can see there the address. The next one. And the GOA is having a meeting at the state capitol. This will be Monday of next week, I believe, right? Monday of next week, a week from tomorrow. And my understanding is the king will be there. Is that right? It's on his schedule to be there. From battling confiscation orders and gun registration bills to lawless Pittsburgh City Council members degrading the Commonwealth preemption laws. That means preemption law means that according to state law in Pennsylvania, state law preempts local laws of counties and cities. And so even if a county or city were to pass a law such as you can't carry guns, but the state law says you can, so the state law wins. But Pittsburgh was trying to degrade the preemption law, they say. The Keystone State has been in the anti-gunners' sight. And by the way, Joe Biden, in declaring his candidacy, said that the first place that he's going to have a fundraiser is in Pittsburgh. And I think that's happening maybe tomorrow. And he explained that that's because Pittsburgh is crucial for him to win not just the primary election, but also the general election next year in November. So apparently Pennsylvania is important. Yes. Who would have thought? Yes, we knew that all along. All right. So GOA, which with what's going on in the NRA right now, may become more influential. All right. Okay. I'm not even pressing their sense. Okay. Let's see. Then May 8th, which is also next week. I think next week Wednesday, a fundraising dinner for the NRA. So you can go to that. But check up on what's going on in the NRA before you go to that. I think I'd recommend. I think I plan maybe to hold off a little bit on my support of the NRA until I figure out just exactly what's going on there, because all sorts of talk about financial improprieties and stuff like that, which we don't really understand or know about. This goes to the local. I see. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is the Friends of NRA. All right. So we can donate to the Friends. Yeah. The Friends of NRA. They do a lot of good local things. All right. I'm convinced. I'll go. Or at least I'll buy a ticket. All right, next one. And yes, basic pistol training. I recommend this very highly. This is a week from Saturday. I went through it, and it's very informative, very good, and answered some of the questions that I had and gave me some new information. Okay, this is May 11th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then on Saturday, on May 18th, I assume that will be the qualification where you actually go out to a range and actually are shooting at a target. All right, next. And HSU, sign up now to lead a summer HSU class. You have until May 12th to lead a class for the summer semester. Anyone know when the summer semester begins? Okay. If we can get that when Carrie gets back. All right, next one. And a prayer breakfast is planned for May 18th at the Twin Rocks Diner. It's on exit 17, that's north of exit 17. And we'll have presenters there of Dr. Panzer, Pastor George Cook, and Pastor Kamalita Memoto. And first-time guests are welcome, all right? And you can see Sunmi or Lourdes for that matter, I suppose, about that. Okay, next one. Yes, the Canyon Academy, you know about. Second semester, still places for second semester?
Just 2 spots.
2 spots left for second semester, which begins in July. Okay, and half a dozen left for the third semester, all right? Okay, next one. And the boot camp, August 11, okay. Sign up begins this Wednesday, so you can start signing up on May 1st. Go to sanctuary-pa.org. And the King's Highlander is up for auction. It's on a 21-day auction for a minimum bid of $12,000. Has 116,000 miles on it, and all proceeds will benefit Defend and Build campaign. And you can email Greg at that address, gregnoll@gmail.com with your offer, with your bid. Okay. And join us for lunch. But I wasn't really sure what's going to be for lunch today, so I took all that stuff out. Anyway, we're shorthanded today. We have curry. Oh, there is curry. Great. And we have salad and coffee. Okay, yes. All right. Okay. Then I think that's all, isn't it? Yes. And no Sunday school today.
Next Sunday is the breakfast at the firehouse for the local.
Yes, that's right. Next Sunday, every first Sunday of every month, there is a firehouse, a fundraising event at the firehouse for the volunteer fire department. And yes, thank you for reminding me. We like for people to go there before church. It's before church. It's when it starts at 8 o'clock. So you can have breakfast at the firehouse for how much is it? $8 a plate. And that's a very good thing to contribute to. It's a fundraiser for the volunteer fire department in our community for green and drier townships. Okay, let's go to the sermon. Today, for today's sermon, I really prayed to God about what to talk about. And I think what he finally told me is that he wants us to go over the Hundok material that was presented in the last Holy Day, and for me to share some of the thoughts and inspirations that I had while I was preparing that. Father established 8 holy days, and then following Father's Songhwa, we have 2 more. One is the anniversary of the Songhwa itself, and the other is the Foundation Day. So in all, we have 10 holy days. And we talk about how Christmas and Easter, how all the pagan influence or the pagan origins, even the word Easter and things like this. But these holy days are established by True Father without any pagan influence or anything. And they are the holy days that God really wanted to establish, would have established at the beginning of human history if the fall had not occurred. So in comparison to Christmas and Easter, these are the real thing. These are actually the genuine holy days that we can celebrate. But not many people know about them yet in comparison to Christmas and Easter. So there isn't quite the same buzz around them as we're approaching. And sometimes people don't even know what holy day we're celebrating. And we don't have 10 celebrations throughout the year. I think we have about 6 or 7 through the year because some of them True Father has instructed us to combine. But anyway, I hope that, and we'll see also in the words that we're about to read, that Father really wants these holy days to be spread and to become part of the world culture, the international culture of all humanity. So anyway, I believe God has instructed me to go through the Hundok material, part of the, not the whole thing, but part of the Hundok material that we had in the last holy day, which was what? True Parents' Day, yes, okay. Which was True Parents' Day, yes. All right, let's go to the first slide, please. So I'll just read it and then I'll talk something about it. You are all interested in me, aren't you? When I go somewhere and say something, you should all connect by phone so you can hear me. On this True Parents' Day, you should know how great your parents' suffering has been and how much your parent has carried, how much pain your parent has carried in his heart. Now, I retranslated this from the Korean. Of course, looking at the English, but also correcting where I thought that a better or more correct translation could be made. And one of the changes that I've made is that I often translate 참부모 in the singular rather than in the plural. And there has been some controversy about that, but and the reason I started this is because in July of 2017, when Reverend Yu gave his OSTP lectures here, he pointed out that in Father's 615 volumes, there is a place where Father says that 참부모 is a title that God gave to Reverend Moon. He specifically says that is the title that God gave me. He specifically says. And if you think of it that way, then that solves a lot of problems because in the past, previous to realizing that, we were really shoehorning this translation into sometimes the plural into context where it really didn't make sense. But now, if you realize that it could be either singular or plural, in some places it obviously is plural. But if you realize that it could be either one, depending on the context, then a lot of things become clear. And this is one of those places, because you should know how great your parent's suffering has been and how much pain your parent has carried in his heart. Even if you take Hak Jahan's words face value, she acknowledges that father suffered a great deal more than she did. In fact, she uses that to support her contention that is why, because father had to suffer, he was not born as the Messiah. That she uses that to justify that. But anyway, she does acknowledge that father suffered a great deal more than she did. She will say, yes, God sent him he was in South Korea. God sent him to the North Korea to suffer. And he went to Hungnam prison and he suffered there. Whereas I was in the North Korea, but God sent me to the South. And that's because he loved me, because I was his daughter, and he didn't want me to suffer. So she acknowledges. So when in this context, then clearly he's talking about himself. He's not talking about him and someone else. He's talking about himself. You know how great your parents' suffering has been. So how great father's suffering has been, and how much pain your parent has carried in his heart. And the time has come when you need to learn about, next one, your parent. Otherwise, you will not know the tradition. You will not have a tradition. You will not have a tradition. So when a child is growing, do our children understand our heart when they are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old? No, they don't. You know, and I don't think I said this, but I remember my parents saying this: "You'll understand when you get older." You'll understand when you get older, or something like that. Maybe I said it too. I don't know. But the infant child, the small child, cannot understand the parent's heart. They have to develop to a certain degree of maturity, and as they reach adulthood, and perhaps have children of their own, then the child can begin to understand the parent's heart. So Father's saying, okay, you guys have developed to a point now where you need to learn about some of the things that I've been going through and some of the burden that I've been carrying. And then in God's original plan, the idea of True Parents' Day was central to his concept of creation. That's a very important statement, and we'll see in a minute why. After creating all things, God created human beings who would have dominion over all things. Next, please. In blessing human beings in this way, God's purpose was none other than to establish true parents, Adam and Eve. So here, obviously it's plural, okay? True parents, Adam and Eve. We're to have become true parents by uniting with each other, centered on God. Parents' Day would have been created at that time. The entire universe would have sung praises in the name of the parents. Thus, True Parents' Day should have been a day of joy with the whole universe singing praises together in the name of the parents. So the first, and actually True Parents' Day is the first holy day that Father established. He actually established it in 1962, but he said, okay, 1961, but he said that, okay, what happened last year in March was the True Parents' Day. It was the first True Parents' Day, although it wasn't until a year later that he actually told us about it. What happened in March 1960? It was the Holy Blacks in the lunar 1960, in the lunar March, the third lunar month of 1960. That was when not just the marriage, but also the engagement also happened. The marriage was on the lunar third month and 16th day, I believe, but also on earlier in the third month there was the engagement. So he said all the things that happened in last year in the third month we're going to celebrate from now on as True Parents' Day, and this is the second year we're going to do that. Second year. So after creating the universe, and after creating human beings to have dominion over the universe, God wanted Adam and Eve to grow to maturity so that they would become parents, And when they did, that would be the true parents' day that God would have established back then. So that was the next step. And that was the next step that never happened. Creating True Parents' Day was the step that never happened. So creating True Parents' Day then was the first step that had to be done on the process of restoration. But that was done conditionally in 1960. But then finally in 2000, well, anyway, finally when the perfection blessing, holy blessing of cosmic perfection could be performed between Father and his bride, CheonSeongGyeong, then True Parents' Day was finally actually established. Yes, 2017. Thank you. And so now we have the actual True Parents' Day. So now true parents are completely established in heaven. Yes. And so that is something that never happened before in history. Yes. And that is something that the whole universe can sing praises about. And now finally things are back on track. After being off track for 6,000 years, things are finally back on track. And they're back on track to the extent that it cannot be put off track anymore. Amen. Yeah. So it was God's deepest desire to have this day. Yeah. He wanted to have the True Parents' Day because that was the next step in his creation. Due to the fall of the first human ancestors, however, heaven and earth never saw True Parents' Day. God has worked unceasingly to realize his original plan for True Parents' Day. And now we have that. Now we have that, and it cannot be taken away. And that is a victory that can never be undermined and can never be erased. It's there forever and ever. But before we celebrate True Parents' Day, we must receive the true parent. The true parent is the central being, God always works through a central point, not through 2 points. Not through 2 points, not through 2 lineages, but through 1 point, a central point, who will judge history, take dominion over the present, and pioneer the future. Throughout history, people have longed to receive such a true parent, though we didn't realize it. But we all have this desire for love. We don't know where to receive love. We don't know where to find love. But we have to receive the true parent. We can only receive true love through the true parent, because the true parent is the one that embodies God's love. Why are we trying to restore a people? Now, in people, this is, for example, the Korean people. In America, it's a little bit, the meaning is a little bit unclear because we have all kinds of people here. We have Irish people, we have Scottish people, we have Jewish people, we have Hispanic people. We have all sorts of peoples in America. In fact, every nation in the world has sent at least one person, I'm sure, to the United States. Don't you think so? I don't know if any survey has been done about that, but I doubt that there's any ethnic group in the world that's not represented in the United States by at least one person. So we have all the peoples of the world are represented here. But the Father's point is individual, family, and then anyway on that there is the people, and then after the people comes the nation. So why are we trying to restore our people? It is our people who will attend the victorious true parent. It is so. So our people will attend the victorious true parent. It is so we may, as filial sons and daughters, before all heaven and earth, attend the true parent truly, by bringing about a heaven and earth of freedom on the standard of a nation that will not be accused by the satanic world and will represent heaven, earth, and humanity. On the standard of a nation. Shall we talk about that?
Yes.
I was at a workshop where Father spoke. This was in Jeju Island, and it was around the year 2000. And I'm sure some of the Westerners. I was there because I was asked to translate. Father was speaking in Korean, and I think I was asked to translate into English, I believe. And he got going during that speech there that I will never forget. And he said, if you think we need a nation, raise your right hand. And if you think we need a nation, raise your left hand. If we think we need a nation, raise both hands. If you think we need a nation, raise your right foot. If you think you need a nation, raise your left foot. If you think we need a nation, raise both feet. And he went on and on and on and on like this. I came out of that speech convinced that Father wanted a nation. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind that Father wants a nation. And he's not talking about a spiritual nation. Okay? My phrase, lines on a map. I know some people call me dirtist for that, but I believe it's true. That Father wants a nation, a central nation, that where the Cheonseong Constitution is accepted and is the law of the land, and where people live based on His teachings and God's principle. So here, in that context, that the people, that we may attend the true parents by bringing about the heaven and earth of freedom on the standard of a nation. Standard of a nation means to not just on the standard of an individual family, but on the standard of a nation. So that there is a nation that lives according to that freedom, that standard of freedom that God wants us to live by. And this has to be a nation that will not be accused by the satanic world, will not be accused by the satanic world. And I remember Father saying at some point, can't say where, but Father said that there need to be at least 3 nations like this that can support each other, so that they can defend themselves and each other against the satanic world. If it's just one, then it could be crushed pretty easily. But there need to be 3, at least, and will represent heaven, earth, and humanity. The word "represent" appears often in Father's words and in Father's teachings. God does not deal with the entirety of the world. He does not deal with all. He does not establish His will through all 7 or 8 billion people of the earth. He has certain representatives. He will choose a central figure, and then He will deal with that central figure. Or He will have a certain representatives of nations or of peoples or of families, and He will work with those representatives. In our Gyeongbes ceremonies, we have representative Gyeongbes, right? We have people who represent different things, and all of them represent. We say even when Kook Jinim's family comes up, they represent the entire true family. They are not the entire true family, but they represent the entire true family. And when we have 3 people come up, each representing Korea, Japan, and the United States, they are not the entire United States, but they represent the United States. You know, Richard Panzer, you may say, how can he represent the United States? Well, he does. You know, he's the one that is in that spot to represent the United States. And so when he bows, that is the same thing as if the entire United States were bowing, because he is representing the United States. So this is one of God's interesting strategies. That's how He can deal with that is how He can execute the providence through a remnant, because our numbers are small, but each of us represents something much larger. And as a whole, we represent the entire United States and the entire world. That's why God has gathered a diverse people from around the country and from around the world to come here. Each of us represents something. Okay? So, and this nation will represent heaven, earth, and humanity when it is established. All right? Until now, we have attended the true parents only in sorrow and pain. But from now on, we should attend Him in joy and freedom. Wow. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. We can attend Him in joy and freedom. When God can dwell within our hearts, only then, when we are joyful, will God be able to say, yes, your joy is my joy. We should also establish a standard by which all people can say, what you are grateful for, we are also grateful for. To have that oneness of heart with God. That's an amazing thing. if we can always keep God's position, God's situation and circumstances in mind, and understand what gives Him joy, and so we can feel joy from what gives God's joy. Today is True Parents Day. Only when you genuinely establish True Parents Day as your own True Parents Day, your own family's True Parents Day, society's True Parents Day, and the nation's True Parents Day, will it be established as the worldwide True Parents Day. Only when you establish it as the worldwide True Parents Day, and then the cosmic True Parents Day, will God's original ideal of creation be established. I think that probably should be. The True Parents, to establish True Parents will be completed. Okay, only then will there be relief from the sorrow that came from being unable to establish True Parents Day due to the fall. Furthermore, only when we establish True Parents Day throughout all the heaven and earth will the sorrow of restoration be removed entirely. Well, now that True Parents Day has been established, especially with true parents in the spirit world, in heaven, that True Parents Day has been established. So this is the day. This is the day that God has been looking forward to and yearning to see for all these thousands of years. Isn't that a wonderful thing? That's such a wonderful thing. But we have to establish not as our own individual True Parents Day, but also as our family, so that our family can worship this together, can celebrate this together, so that our society can do it together, and so that all of America can celebrate this day together. How wonderful that would be. And so if we could spread the message of True Parents Day and of the other holy days as well, that would be a wonderful thing. In fact, he goes into the other holy days here in just a minute. Let's go to the next one. Though we have established True Parents Day and True Children's Day, we have not established True Parents Day on the level of an individual, a family, people, society, nation, world, and the cosmos. So it's not just enough for Father to say, okay, this is True Parents Day. And then we have to then expand it. Remember, I've said that God works in a vertical axis, but a vertical axis can only define one point. And it's our responsibility then to spread that horizontally to become a plane, a horizontal plane. And that's how God's word and God's providence is increased. So it's up to us then to spread True Parents Day, to increase True Parents Day, to be a True Parents Day of the family, of the society, nation, and the world, and cosmos. And the same applies to True Children's Day and to the day of True All Things. Only when we have developed to the point where we can be governed by the standard where True Parents Day, True Children's Day, and Day of All Things have triumphed globally, will God's original purpose of creation be completed. So it's these holy days, expanding these holy days, that will cause or bring about to the completion of God's providence. So that's how important these holy days are. Is there when we spread these things, so that the world will celebrate True Parents Day more than it celebrates Christmas. Then God's restoration providence will be completed. Only then will True Parents Day finally become True Parents Day for all humankind, and at the same time True Parents Day for heaven itself. In the same way, True Children's Day, Day of all true things, will be True Children's Day and Day of True All Things for all humankind and for heaven. And when we have reached that position, the time will have come when God can say everything has finally been accomplished. We must establish True Parents Day, True Children's Day, and the Day of all true things, True All Things on the levels from the individual through the family, peoples, and nations. A little bit of a misprint there. It should be Day of True All Things. Because all things is a phrase. Then you have either false all things or true all things, and we want true all things. Yeah. Only when we establish these days on the level of a nation can they become the central days of that nation and of the world. This is the issue. So it's our mission to spread these holy days. And I think that celebrating these holy days is maybe one of the most important things that we do here. When we celebrate these things, these holy days here, we are lifting up Father. And the more we lift up Father, I think the more He is able to to do his work both in the spirit world and in the physical world, because he needs conditions in order to do that. He needs us. He needs humanity to fulfill our 5% in order for him to do his work. I think that celebrating holy days is how we help Father cover the earth with his spirit and to carry out his providence, so that these holy days can finally become holy days for all humanity. All right, let's go to the next one. So then Father goes into understanding the word true parent. This is a term that is dear to us in the Unification Church. Some of you may be hearing it for the first time. It is the term true parent. We say our true parent. Did Jesus have a true parent? We have something that Jesus did not have. Did Jesus have a true parent? Isn't a parent responsible when he does not protect his children? Parents ought to protect their children. They must be a protective barrier against Satan, and say to their children, be happy in our embrace. Did Jesus have that experience? During his life of 30 years, Jesus was raised as a pitiful stepson. Well, if Jesus had been able to marry and to carry on his providence, then he would have established these holy days. Because these are, remember, the original ideal that God wanted to establish in the Garden of Eden and was not able to. But Jesus could not do that. But this is the reason the word true parent, whereas true parent does not appear in the Bible. The words true parent and true brothers and sisters do not appear in the Bible. They are part of our Unification Church terminology. I did not invent them. They were always contained in the heavenly principle, and I discovered them. Father went through a process of discovery. The truth was not given to him was not given to him for free. And this is another point that the Family Federation tries to use in order to undermine Father's messiahship and authenticity. But remember, was the truth given to Adam and Eve when they were born? No. So if someone says, well, I was born as God's daughter, and so if someone were to say, I was born as God's daughter, and so I was one with him in body and mind from the time of my birth, and therefore I never had to be taught the principle that God's entirety of God's truth was available to me, and I knew it before Father discovered it. What's wrong with that statement? Well, it denies the growing period. It denies the growing period. Adam and Eve had to go through a growing period. And also, they needed the commandment. So the fact that God had to give the commandment to Adam and Eve would seem to indicate that they did not have a complete understanding of God's truth, right? Is that logical? Yeah. All right. So we'll talk about that sometime later. Yeah. All right. So anyway, he discovered them. God's truth had to be discovered because it was lost in the Garden of Eden. So it had to be retrieved. It had to be discovered by Father. We use the words true parents and true child. We should understand how a true child should act. A true child should be able to offer his life and everything he has for the sake of God's Son, and should be grateful even if he ends up in hell. Without going through such a process, nothing can be accomplished. In this way, you can return to the Father through having the heart of a true child. I've talked about my experience in hell a couple of times, once or twice or so. I don't think I have to do that again here. But yeah, it is in hell that you can meet Father, that you can meet God. Because that is where God is. God lost his children, so he is a God of sorrow and of pain. And so God has spent this entire time in hell, not in heaven. And that is an important difference of our Father's teaching from traditional Christian theology and understanding. God can experience joy and love, but he can also experience sorrow and pain. And he's been experiencing sorrow and pain all this time. So if you want to meet God, best place to go is hell. to put yourself in a difficult situation. Not meaning, that you commit sin and go to hell that way. That's not the meaning. The meaning is that you go to a place where there is great difficulty. Where there's great difficulty. But if you are choosing an easy path, most likely you will not meet God. I have to say. We use the word true parent. We say we should go forward together with the true parent and together with God, and that we should be true brothers and sisters. Centering on what? Centering on Jesus. Jesus' parents could not attend him, but we should restore that failure through indemnity by standing in the position of parents who can attend him and be better parents than his parents were. All right, let's go to the next one. Which do you think is easier? Me referring to God as the parent, or you referring to me as the parent? You do not know how much I have suffered. You do not know how many walls there have been and how complicated it has been. Until now, myriads of people have struggled on that path and have all fallen into the pit. When you joined the Unification Church and began to understand me from the perspective of theory, it must have been easy for you to say, here's the true parent. Then which do you think is greater, the joy I felt when I realized that God is the true parent, or the joy you felt when you realized it? Which do you think? His joy? Well, let's see. I could utter the words Father only after having gone through life-threatening suffering. But you were taught everything without suffering. This is why you can say, okay, I have come to know the true parent. So what? Who would rejoice more? Which do you think should be greater, the joy I felt when I met God in the father-son relationship, or the joy you feel when you meet me? Although my encounter came only after suffering, your encounter took place without suffering. So you should be more joyful. You got it for free, is what he's saying. I had to work for this. But you guys, you just sit down and listen to a few lectures and say, oh, okay, he's the true parent. Okay, I got it. So he's saying, listen, if you're getting it for free, when I had to pay an incredible price for it, if someone goes to a movie and someone has to pay $20 and the other person gets in for free, who's more joyful of being able to get in? The person that got in for free, right? Oh yeah, I got in for free. But he says that we don't, because we're not paying for it, we don't truly understand the value, I think is the point that he's trying to make. Although you should be more joyful. Okay, if I had paid hundreds of billions of dollars, wouldn't you be happy that you paid nothing? What have you paid? When you come and listen to the principle, you can understand everything. So when you hear a true parent, you merely say, so that's how it is, and understand everything. That's true, yes. Sorry, Father. All right. This is the next section. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's the next section. It wasn't me. I didn't put this in, okay? I didn't put this in. And don't say, here he goes again. No, here Father goes again, all right? Okay? It's not me. It's the next section. Shall we do this or not? Okay, I hear the ayes have it. More than anything, language is the problem. Isn't that true? Don't we experience that? Language is the problem. When Koreans gather here, people who do not know Korean have a difficult time. When Koreans gather, or when people gather, at the palace, CheonSeongGyeong Palace, or wherever Father is, I feel sorry for them. How great it would be if language were unified. When I first came to America, I knew only yes and no, although I had studied English through books. Can you imagine how stifled I felt? You need to understand how necessary the unification of language is. Do you want to listen to my speeches through an interpreter or listen to me directly? Of course, you want to listen in Korean. Why? Because Korean is the original language. When you study the principle, you will not understand the meaning of the words if you do not know the original language. When you eventually go to the spirit world, will you be proud if you can say, I understand Father's speeches directly without translation? Or if you have to say, I listened to his words through an interpreter, which these are words that you may be proud of if you can say, I understood Father's speeches directly without translation. Or if you have to say, okay, this slide should have been eliminated, it was not. Let's go to the next one. These are words that express the ideal world of love. So the words that Father's giving are the words that express the ideal of love. Doesn't mean anything to whisper words of love through an interpreter. You know, if someone whispers to you, "I love you," in a language that we don't understand. Let's say they whispered to us, I don't know, in a language, what's a language that we don't understand? Which one? French? Okay. Someone over there doesn't understand. Yeah, okay. Or Swahili or Arabic or something a language that you don't understand. It doesn't mean anything. Actually, I found in Korea that when people were swearing at me, it was better not to be able to understand them. It works the other way too. But if you don't know the words, they don't mean anything to you, right? Whether it's the words of love or the opposite, they don't mean anything to you. Yeah, yeah. God chose to express His truth in a particular language, and He prepared that language. And even a few hundred years ago, He had one of the Korean kings to prepare an alphabet that is very, very easy to learn. I'm sure it must be the easiest alphabet in the world for a person to learn. Even the number of letters is less than English. The way that the letters are lined up is a little bit different. They're not lined up from left to right straight like that. They're sort of combined like that, but that's not a difficult thing to figure out. So the Korean alphabet, you can learn. I really believe that a person of average intelligence can learn the Korean alphabet in an afternoon. I mean, if you don't know it now, you could probably know it by the end of today, if you were to sit down and focus on it. Yeah? Someone proved me wrong. Someone said I tried it and I couldn't learn it by the end of the day. So someone try it. Try to prove me wrong. But I think you can. I think you can learn the Korean alphabet in an afternoon, or in an afternoon, maybe in the evening too. And God prepared it that way, so that everyone could learn Korean, so that everyone could at least learn how to read Korean. All right. It says, the fifth paragraph of our former pledge said, "We are proud of one culture. The problem is, how does one culture come about? You should know that in the world of heart, you have no choice but to become one. The person who truly desires the one CheonSeongGyeong world cannot go without knowing this." And what is the definition of CheonSeongGyeong in original substance of divine principle? What is CheonSeongGyeong? Heart. An irresistible impulse. Yeah, it's an irresistible impulse of heart to do what? To invest love in an object partner so as to experience love and joy. Yeah. It's an important thing is that CheonSeongGyeong is an irresistible impulse. God has CheonSeongGyeong, so it is an irresistible. He had to create. He had to invest his love in something, in an object partner, so that he could experience love and joy himself. Now, when you reach out to someone because you love them so much, your feet move first before any thoughts about love. Your feet move first, not the loving thought. How foolish this is. If you think about eating in the same way, it is as though you enjoyed someone's leftovers without the tradition and spirit of the ideal family, the ideal world cannot appear. Okay? Even in the spirit world, everyone uses the language that true parents and true grandfathers use. Would it work to say, "Oh dear, I don't know that language"? You will realize then how difficult it is for Orientals to learn English. I learned English after the age of 60. Do you think it was easy? You cannot make excuses. Don't laugh. All right? I remember Father one time, he didn't do this always, but one time, I guess it was a particularly important speech, and I prepared the translation beforehand so it could be handed out to people in the conference, and he stayed up all night going through my translation, word for word, using his dictionary. And the next morning, the Korean leader who had assigned me to the task had to be with Father at the breakfast table and defend my translation. Father would say, "Why was this translated this way? Why was this word translated with this English word?" And he had to explain each of those translations. So Father was very serious about language. The language is a means of communication. It's a means of communicating love. It should be a means of communicating love. Sometimes we use it for other purposes, but originally it is a means of communicating of love and joy. So Father took language he takes it very seriously. And so he tried and he worked to learn English, and he did succeed to some extent. Sometimes he would speak in English sometimes. In some of his speeches, he did speak in English. All right? The reason that young people come to the Unification Church, that's the reason that young people come. You must do this. So in other words, God is sending young people to the Unification Church because they're more able to learn Korean than older people. Yeah. But it's never too late. You have to learn even repeating words again and again while walking on the street. Learn Korean by repeating phrases while going back and forth to the toilet. You have no escape. So the point is, you say you have no time, but what are you doing when you're going back and forth between your desk and the restroom? Then you have time. You have time to learn Korean in that time. The reason I'm telling you to learn Korean is that I have become the true parent. There is no way out. No matter what nationality you are or what situations you are in, you have no alternative. Got it? Got it. When everything is unified, people will say, this is the glory of the true parent. He has swiftly unified the world's languages. If they were to give an award, what kind of award should it be? You should respect Korean more than the language of any other nation in the world. It is because of their language that Koreans are smart. Every pronunciation is possible in Korean. Japanese does not come anywhere close. Japanese cannot pronounce McDonald's properly and end up saying Makudo Naruto. Is that intelligible? Well, okay. This is why things must work through the new culture. I'm not saying this because I am a Korean, but because it is the basic principle. If I told you to learn Korean without that being rooted in a basic principle, I would be chased away. It is because I'm talking about basic principles that you listen quietly and say, as it fits the theory, what choice do I have but to accept? In the future, the original language for scholars will be Korean. Korean will be the original language. The CheonSeongGyeong, the English translations of the CheonSeongGyeong and of the Divine Principle and of other texts that we have, they are just translations. They are only translations. And Father was very interested in, or very interested in having translations created. Because people who are coming to him for the first time, people who are coming to the principle for the first time, need translations in order to understand what it is that he's teaching. But as we grow in our understanding of the principle, and as we grow in our desire to have a closer relationship with God and with Christ, at some point along that path, Father's saying that we need to be motivated to learn Korean, because that really is the only way that you're going to be able to advance beyond a certain point in your relationship with Christ. Not that everyone who knows Korean has a relationship with Christ. All right, Kim Il-sung knew Korean. All these Protestant ministers in Korea who have rejected Father, they know Korean. So it doesn't work that everyone who knows Korean then therefore understands Christ. But they have the tool. Just because I have a hammer doesn't mean that I can build a house. But to build a house, I probably need a hammer, right? So it's a tool. It's a tool that, when used properly, can help us to do something great. All right, enough of that. Enough of that? Okay. I know you're tired of hearing it, but hey, it's going to keep coming. It's going to keep coming. I remember when people were saying, back in the 90s when computers were first coming in, I don't have to learn Korean. I don't have to learn how to use a computer. I'm in my 40s, and this is something my children can do, and I'll be able to live out my life without ever learning how to use a computer. That was what people felt when computers first came on the market, right? Well, it turned out not to be true. So, just saying. All right, the power of the true parent's name. We see in the Bible that humankind fell, so God must be liberated. Through the fall, the sons and daughters, husband and wife, the nation, and even the world that was to be ours were forfeited at one stroke. the true parent must come, recover all things, children, family, nations, and the world, and return these to God. All that which, next one please, once belonged to God, fell under the sway of false love after deviating from the true path of love. All right? Everything was created on the principle that they could be possessed, centering on love, but they were destroyed by destructive love. So the principle of possession, right, is that everything can be possessed through love. As if someone loves something more than anyone else, then the person who loves something the most can claim possession of that. And that's the idea. But the problem is that now we have this destructive love. We have destructive love. If we have some money sitting in a bank, the thief can say, oh, I love that money more than anyone else, so I can take it. No, that's destructive love, right? That's destructive. False love. But they were destroyed by destructive love. Now they must be salvaged through the love of the true parent, and all things, children, husband, and wife, nation, and the world must be offered again to God. Then God will sing praises of that triumph, saying God's universe has been returned to his possession, centered on true love. He will then give those offerings to the true parent. So it goes to God, but then the true parent. But on earth, the true parent is the king, because he is the central point through which God's providence is being carried out on the earth. So eventually, the king, whether it's the second king or third king or whatever line of king it is, will receive inheritance of everything in the world. He will then give those offerings to the true parent. They will become God's possessions and thereby the true parent's possessions. In becoming the true parent's possessions, they will become the possessions of the sons and daughters. And then the king will then divide them up into the sons and daughters. And then again be distributed in the four directions. Until the world becomes such a place, the kingdom of heaven cannot appear on earth. What is the local level breakthrough? That's Tongbang we are pursuing. We must unite South and North and offer the Republic of Korea to God as the homeland of all humankind. This must be done in God's name and the true parent's name, centered on the achievement of victory in every nation. We have been investing everything for this. This is why we are a group of beggars. Why beggars? Because we already offered everything decades ago. Now we must unite South and North. And in God's name and in the true parent's name, we must take back all ownership historically claimed by Satan. We must restore the ownership to the throne of God, the original parent, so that Korea will emerge from this as the first ancestor nation among all nations throughout history. Working to bring this about is my ultimate purpose of love. So everything originally should belong to God. And belonging to God belongs to the true parent, and the true parent can then distribute it. Just like when the Israelites went into the land of Canaan, Canaan was cleared of all the other people who were there before, and then certain cities were distributed to the different tribes. And so I don't know how exactly this will take place, but there will be a distribution when all the things become the possession of God. We'll see how that happens in the future. All right, is that it? Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, I didn't want to go through the entire Hundok material, but I thought we'd go through the first half anyway to encourage you to look at it more closely. If you would like to go through the rest of it, I think it's available through Richard Panzer. I think he has distributed it already, but if you haven't received it, I can send it out to you as well. All right, let's, actually I want to call on Greg to come forward now. So as you still have a few minutes, Greg can come forward now to give a presentation or some remarks about True Parents Memorial.
Okay, let's give it up for Tim. Thank you. Thank you, God. So Tim is going to be giving, he agreed to give a OSDP workshop this summer. Yeah, it's really great news. It'll be a 7-day workshop. We haven't worked out the dates yet, but you can look forward to that sometime over the summer. And I think we can all appreciate Tim's experience directly with Father and understanding Korean culture, understanding God's providence, and understanding the principle as well as he does. So something to look forward to. So, as you all know, there's been a huge worldwide coup that happened where all of Father's foundation was basically stolen away. And this was unthinkable, a few years ago, half dozen years ago. But in reality, that's what's happened. Everything that Father established was basically taken away, except one important thing: his inheritor, successor, his heir. So praise be to God that the second king has left that heretical situation and had to separate and come here to establish Father's foundation all over again. And this, of course, is common throughout the Bible, when Satan invades and, God separates and a new foundation is created. So here at Sanctuary, this place right here that we're sitting in today is the place where Father, is it's almost like a tabernacle. It's a place where Father dwells. Amen. And speaks through the second king, God's providence to all of humanity. And the second king has made it clear that we need to have a place, a memorial, where we can really honor our true Father and his life work. And the second king has directed over on the Car Arms property to create such a place, such a holy place. Can you imagine? Down the road, and the entire world will come and pay their respects to the true parent. And now we have true parents. So at this memorial, at the Car Arms property, lot 7, will be that kind of holy place, that tabernacle where God's Spirit dwells. And when people come and pray, the Holy Spirit will be there. And so we're in the process of creating that kind of holy place. And so maybe this is the imagery of the design the king has approved. And it's being produced by a timber frame company in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so a local company. They have been over 30 years creating some of the most beautiful timber frame structures. Can you go to that website, Rio, Lancaster Timber Frame, just to give you an idea of some of the works that they have done. The idea is to create a very natural kind of, not the Joybeck, but the Lancaster Timber Frame. So the idea is to create something that reflects the natural environment around here and Father's love for the great outdoors, to show the natural wood, stone, something that reflects the nature of this area really well. So after researching, we came up with Lancaster Timber Frame, and they have a really incredible tradition and foundation in creating such structures. So off to the left, you can see in this design, there'll be, like as you walk into the building, there'll be the entryway, and then there'll be, maybe we can go down to the next of this one, the memorial, yeah. As you walk in, you'll see there'll be an entryway where you take off your shoes, and there's bathrooms there, you have the lobby, and then you'll walk into the inner sanctuary there, and there'll be just a prayer meditation space. So it won't have any furniture. It will just be a beautiful wood floor, a place where people can pray and offer their CheonSeongGyeong to true parents. And then off to the left will be a museum room, very humble, simple kind of museum room, really honoring the life and the sacrifice of our true parents. And then off to the right will be like an open deck. And this will be built at the bottom of a hill. It's all trees right now. Nothing's really been done. But we're gonna create a space there. And then on the hillside will be beautifully landscaped gardens with probably a koi pond and different things, whatever the king wants to do. He's going to be very involved in the landscaping, the design, the layout. This will really be a reflection. This is the company, Lancaster Timber Frame. They're very well versed at creating these kinds of structures. They've done a lot of churches and different commercial buildings as well as residential. And then we've also are partnering with Joybeck Builders, who is located right up here in Hawley, who will be doing the construction. They are the kind of like the certified builders of Lancaster company. So they are they'll be the local builders that will be building the structure. So we're going to need a lot of prayers to have this opened by the Rod of Iron Festival. That's the goal, is to have this open so that can be like the grand opening. If all goes well, then that's what will happen. And so we'll be doing with the breaking of the ground, hopefully will be the end of May, early June. And then we'll be doing landscaping. The Wanjang for True Mother will also be located nearby. And then there'll be gardens throughout the area. And of course, this will probably the full manifestation of this will take several years, but we do want to have the grand opening on October 12th, so you can be praying for that. And this will be the place. This will be like the Mecca. This will be like the place where people come from all over the world to pay their respects to true parents. So it's a very important project before anything else is done on that property, and there's different plans for the property. The king wanted to first build this structure, to honor father and mother. So I just came back from the NRA show. I was there on Friday, and it was quite incredible energy, even though there is this little conflict happening within the NRA. The overall spirit of all the participants, and the place was packed. It was like going to a very large sanctuary gathering, It's like very, very patriotic, God-loving people who really are concerned about the country, concerned the direction the country is moving in, and are committed to keeping America a safe bastion of freedom and really protecting the founding father principles of this country. And, Kukchinim's the car arms booth was packed, a lot of interest. He had a really beautiful display of his company, and there was a lot of interest in his booth. And we had the opportunity to, do the book signing on Saturday morning. And I'm sure the king will share this, but Donald Trump Jr. actually came into the booth and was there. Actually, I think the king, the way it came down, the king saw him in the aisleway, and he went right over to him and brought him in. Yeah, it's an amazing miracle. And they took a picture of Donald Trump Jr. with Kukchinim and the king together, and it was just an amazing connection. And from what I heard, apparently the president owns quite a few of the car-armed guns. He owns like the Tommy gun, different guns. So there's a real connection there, and I think it's just beginning to develop into greater and greater relationship. So this is really I was there to kind of promote the Rod of Iron Festival, which is coming up October 12th and 13th, and to find vendors and different people, and there's a lot of interest. As the king has mentioned, the Rod of Iron Festival is being organized by a lot of local people. And the idea is to really create a Second Amendment rally, where people can understand the importance of the Second Amendment as it relates to all freedoms. And so this festival will really be a rallying point for freedom-loving people. And Larry Pratt has agreed to come, Tig and Craig Sawyer, and a lot of big names in the Second Amendment community will be here. And Madison Rising is a very patriotic band that will be playing. There'll be like a music festival portion. Can you go to the schedule of the festival? And So it'll be 2 days where this festival is not really, it's going to be really a Second Amendment festival. And then on the third day, we'll have our blessing ceremony here at the church. So, which is a Monday, it's Columbus Day actually. But the Saturday and Sunday will be focused at Car Arms facility. Right behind Car Arms, there's like a festival grounds. And we'll have about 40 to 50 vendors. And we'll have lots of food. Probably we're expecting 4,000 people. There'll probably be 1,000 people coming in, or 500, 600 coming in from overseas. So it'll be quite an international community, but also local people as well as regionally people will be coming to the festival. So just to give you an idea, some of the things we'll be doing. The King, of course, will be giving the founder's address at 11:30. And then Larry Pratt will speak after him. This is also the launch of the book that the King is working on with Dr. Williams. So this is a big weekend for that as well. And we're going to be hiring a very good publicist to promote the book on all the news channels, all the radio talk shows. So this is something, we haven't found that person yet, but that's something, everybody, we could use your prayers in finding the right person that can really help us promote the book on a global scale. Larry Pratt will be following the King, and then in the afternoon it'll be like a variety of activities that people can choose from. So you might want to go to the shooting range, and we're going to have all these interesting targets where people can shoot at. We'll have like satanic symbols cut out of metal. So if you want to, shoot at the hammer and sickle, for example, and there'll be different prize awards and different things like that. And then there'll be a fashion show that a really prominent person in the Second Amendment community will be doing a fashion show on how to look good as your concealed carry outfit. And then there'll be various booths that people can go to. The ultimate shooting range, it's like a simulator. You can go in there and shoot and hit different targets. There'll be an art show that some of our folks here are organizing, and that will be a global art show. The theme, of course, is the right to bear arms, the God-given right to bear arms. So, in fact, somebody from Brazil just contacted us, and they're starting their own right to bear arms movement down there, and they want to come to our church and interview the King. And so there's interest worldwide. It's not just an American phenomenon anymore. It's like countries from all over the world want to see how they too can protect themselves, not only from criminals on a local level, but also criminal class on a national level, like through politicians. So that's an exciting project, the art show, and we're hoping that can really also be a big media event as well. At nighttime, there's going to be a music festival, and we also, Art Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation just recently decided to come. This is another, like a GOA kind of organization that really fights for the Second Amendment activities on a legal level. So they'll go in and support people who are, fighting some kind of legal case, and give them the legal defense that they need to win the case. So he's another prominent figure who just signed on. Then after the music festival, there'll be a grand finale with fireworks. And then on Sunday, it's kind of like I repeat, we're going to have Sunday service. The King will deliver Sunday service, and then Craig Sawyer will speak, who is doing incredible work. He does a fundraiser. I mean, he's the founder of Vets for Children. What's that? Child Rescue. And I think the King has talked about it before. He actually, finds these pedophiles and brings them to justice. So he's really a righteous man of God, fighting and to protect children. And so the whole weekend is going to really be bringing together the Second Amendment community, which is really needed at this time. And then on the Monday, we'll all gather here, probably 600-700 people for a Book of Life registration blessing, like the one similar February 28th. So it's going to be an action-packed 3 days. I'm hoping everybody, if you'd like to help out, we have a lot of volunteer positions available. And this is where some of the Defend and Build money is going to. It's really supporting the festival, which is going to be not going to be a profit-making festival. So it's good. It takes a lot of resources to make this a successful event. Of course, True Parents Memorial, we're not going on the cheap. We want to make this a very beautiful, beautiful structure that will last, hundreds and hundreds of years, and just really honor our true parents. And of course, the legal component. So I just want to thank everybody. Let's give it up for everybody worldwide who's contributed. Over $1 million so far. We still need to reach our $4 million goal. So I'm hoping that everybody can spend time praying about this and really ask God what you can do. And this is something that, in order to really do the work of heaven, we need resources to do it. It's something that just doesn't magically happen. It takes a lot of the hard work of, I know the Japanese brothers and sisters, the Korean brothers and sisters, people all over the world are sending in their offerings for this effort. So really appreciate it. And if you can think, even if you've already given, this is, maybe there's something else you can give, because some people can't give. They want to give. Maybe they're in a situation where they really can't contribute that much. Maybe the country they live in, money is really hard to come by. But maybe you've been blessed. Maybe God has blessed you in such a way where you have the ability and the resources to earn money. So I want to encourage everybody to give beyond what you think you can give, and give a little bit more, and that will really help contribute toward building such a place as the memorial, and creating. There's going to be a worldwide buzz, on this Rod of Iron Festival. So it's going to once again, the King will be highlighted as the leader of the Rod of Iron movement. The movement to protect freedom around the world. And this is really a worthwhile activity.
Hallelujah.
So thank you very much.
All right, SOS, come on down.
Let's all rise and offer praise and worship. Oh, light of grace, shining above, light in my dim, shadowed way. Oh, light of grace, easing my pain, you have shown that God is love. And I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. Though clouds may come, hiding his face, hiding the smile of my God. Though clouds may come, still he is there, shining brightly. God is love. and I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. Amid the storm, tossed on the sea, beacon of hope, guiding me. Amid the storm, shelter is near. Trust in Him, for God is love. And I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. And all things decay, passing away, only the light shall remain. And all things decay, still there is one true and faithful. God is love. And I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. And I'll give my life and my love unto the one God of love. I know a place where the sun shines like gold, where the cherries bloom forth in the snow, and down underneath is the loveliest place where the four-leaf clovers grow. One leaf is for faith, and one is for hope, and one is for love, you know. And God put another one in for you. If you search, you will find where they grow. But you must have faith, and you must have hope. You must love and be strong, and so if you work, if you wait, you will find the place where the four-leaf clovers grow. I know a place where the sun shines like gold, where the cherries bloom forth in the snow, and down underneath is the loveliest place where the four-leaf clovers grow, where the four-leaf clovers grow. My fallen figure shames the earth. Once I was born, yet never I lived. Never forsaking, you came to me, giving my life and breaking my chain. Tenderly you gathered me up, filled with love and sweating blood. Ever patient, you taught me the word. Carved in my heart, it forever remains. Never I knew what life should be. All I can do is follow your way. When on the path I stumble and fall, turning you give the courage I need. Though the path is narrow and steep, cruel thorns leave a trail of blood, still I pledge I will follow the way, follow as far as my Father will lead. Freed from a sleep so deep and dark, gladly I wake to knowing your will. Though death may stab me time and again, nothing can change a loyal heart. This I pledge, my life is for you. For your will I rush forward to die. This I pledge till the struggle is done, till we proclaim the victorious day. This I pledge, my life is for you. For your will I rush forward to die. This I pledge till the struggle is done, till we proclaim the victorious day. Sing aloud, Hosanna to the Lord. Offer everything with humble heart. Come attend the Lord, oh rejoice in Him who brings new life to all the world. Let us go determined to seek and find all the promised glory of the Lord. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There are clouds of darkness on the path, sinful night enveloping the land. Brush the clouds aside and behold the light that shines in beauty everywhere. Let us go determined to seek and find our new world of joyfulness and peace. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. Oh, my brothers, all rejoice today, you who sing the song of our new life. Offer praise on high, blessed forevermore.
Chosen people of the Lord.
Let us go determined to seek and find all the brilliant glory of our dreams. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. We uphold the standard of the Lord, to restore his true ideal. Freely give your love, share the Father's joy, and beauty will return to you. Let us go determined to seek and find harmony within the garden bright. There will sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There will sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There will sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. Beautiful morning sunrise, calm above the land of our hope. Robed in white, chosen people fighting for the land of God. Towering high, the snow-white mountain stands aloft in majesty, ruling with power over the world, shining o'er the universe. Marching on, heavenly soldiers, marching on with his love, uniting in life eternal with our God in heaven and earth. Heavenly soldiers fighting strongly for the victory, bringing lost souls to harvest from the fallen world of fear. Freely giving love and beauty to them from our parents' heart, spreading the word over the world, rescuing the family of God. Marching on, heavenly soldiers, marching on with his love, uniting in life eternal with our God in heaven and earth. Sanctified, brave crusaders, joining our true parents' fire. Lifting high the rod of iron, smashing evils of the world. Now restoring Eden's glory on the earth eternally. Praising our God, Heavenly Father, giving joy to comfort his heart. Marching on, heavenly soldier, marching on with his love, uniting in life eternal with our God in heaven and earth. Uniting in life eternal with our God in heaven and earth.
하나님 왕권 수립 승리 억만세. 전지인 참부모님 3대 왕권 승리 억만세. 천일국 창건 억만세. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Please join us for lunch.
기도하겠습니다. Dear loving Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day we could gather together here, Father. And we really prepare our heart to receive your word, so that, Father, this word become our armor, and we can really take this to the next level in our daily life. Father, please be with each one of our brothers and sisters, and please, Father, guide and protect, Father, worldwide, the brothers and sisters who are really doing, Father, your will, and making, Father, establishing the CheonSeongGyeong, Father, substantially. And Heavenly Father, please guide our King and Queen and Father, their family. We know that, Father, that their position is such a, Father, important position, but also so many, Father, the things that they have to go through. And Father, we, even though we are not enough, but we really want to pray and also always, Father, think about them